blessed with a championship prosperity the likes of which we have never seen. Cursed by a past riddled with despair. This is Blursed.
What's up, and welcome back to Blursed, everybody. This is the second time we've recorded this opening because of technical difficulties. The thing that they don't tell you in podcasting school is that if you use a power line adapter for a direct Ethernet connection, if your wife in a completely different room upstairs connects her treadmill, then that'll cut out your internet for no fucking reason. So
it's not, if the fugal crank disconnects from the Vox hose, then your flux capacitor.
We did not pass podcasting school, guys.
You just shit out of luck. No, just learning new stuff every week, adding different tools that will inevitably fuck up some other part of the production. So we are here on Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. I'm Hayden Cummins, joined by Blake Dodd and Aaron Kaiser. Full team back together once again. What's up, guys?
What's up? We're back again. Back again.
Tuesday, ain't it?
Tuesday.
Gotta get one of those in.
Hey, Governor.
We watched The King last night. It's a 2019 film. Stars Timothy Chalamet. Chalamet. Dude, he's so good. Like he's a good actor. It was a pretty good old. It was early Crusades, past the Crusades, 1400s. It was really good.
From what I heard, almost single-handedly responsible for spreading some sort of STD across the campus of NYU while he attended there. So, boy, did a lot of fucking.
I feel like you're either a Timothy Chalamet guy or a Tom Holland guy, and I'm a Tom Holland guy.
You can't be both? They're kind of different for me.
They're the same typecast. You have to pick one. That's my choice.
I think Timothy Chalamet is a better actor.
He is more handsome too.
Just straight up.
It's Tom's more mainstream.
He is handsome. I don't see how handsome he is, but I do hear from ladies. For some reason, as we all know, ladies have a thing for anemic-looking white boys. Like if you're a skinny white guy who looks like he's gonna die of starvation,
gotta nurse him up. They gotta take care of him.
Yeah,
I'm one of them
for a while.
It's the Pete Davidson effect.
It's a great point, actually. Yeah. If you look like you have lupus, they're all for it.
And then if you're self-aware and what is it called? Self-deprecative? No.
Yes.
Yeah, deprecative.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a hard word for me to say for some reason. Yeah. Anyways, if you're aware of it and make fun of yourself, then they're gonna like it.
Self-deprecating. There we go.
That makes me think of when I was at the dermatologist last week.
That's our friend Brady. Go ahead.
I was at the dermatologist, and she walked in. She said, "Wow, you're a fair man." I was like, "Yep, I am quite pale. Thank you." I work in my basement all day long, so.
I work in my basement,
but it's not my parents' basement, so.
Yeah.
Plus one.
My wife says I'm fair. She really loves me for that. Yeah, you should just hit her with that next time.
She's my fair lady.
You should have been like, "Oh man, my spray tan must not work."
I am descended from royalty, so that makes sense that I'm.
Hey-o. Speaking of the king.
Yeah.
Oh. What?
Do we have any?
What are you baiting me into here?
No, royal. I don't know. You said you're from royalty. I was going to ask. Can we do our blurst of the weeks? Because I have one.
Blurst of the week.
All-time blurst is just me thinking the Atlanta Hawks would just. I thought we were making it our offense has been so much better, and it still has continued to be better under Quinn Snyder. But the guys, the core, the group itself, they're still themselves. So we lose to the Timberwolves Monday night after we finished recording in a game we should have won. We were much better than them, but we were never close to that game at all. We shouldn't have won the way we played. Then we beat the Warriors, who were the last year's champs, pretty handily, a really good game, beat them down. And then we score 83 points in the first half against the Spurs, and we're up 24 points at halftime, and we lose that game by 8. And our starting five, when they went back out, they didn't score a basket for the first 6 minutes, something like that. I want to say 7 minutes, but the 6 minutes. So it's tough. And our starting five the whole year of not being able to close out games. They can't.
How's that Blursed? That just sounds like curse to me.
the Blurs is beating the Warriors, like, and you're like, okay, we're about to go on a run. Like, we're about to go on a run. We're going to beat, because our next games are against the Spurs, the Pistons, the Timberwolves again, the Pacers, like a bunch of teams that aren't in the playoffs. And then we lose the Spurs right before we're starting the run. So we can't start a run if we can't beat bad. We've lost to the bottom 5 teams 6 times this year. Like, it just shows you we play down to the opponents we play against, but we play up to the opponents we play against too. It's just, yeah, it's tough, man. Something's got to change, and I mean they're going to figure it out. We'll be fine next year, or we'll be more competitive next year for sure. I'm not worried about that, but you'd like to see us at least show a little competition down the home stretch.
Indeed.
That's my whole Hawks talk too. By the way, we can just not talk about them after that.
Well, okay. So my Blursed of the week is it's going to similar to Blake's, sounding more cursed than blessed. Mine's going to be more blessed than cursed, but that's Atlanta United. And we'll get into that here in a second, a little more in depth, but they're having their best start in franchise history. Thiago Almada is looking like the league MVP that he was brought in here to be. Absolutely. And the cursed part of that, though, is that deep down inside of me, the Atlanta fan at heart knows that, and especially with how I'm still not sold on Gonzalo Pineda, I can't argue with anything he's done to start this season. It would be hard to. However, we're only 4 games in.
Yep.
And of a 35 game season. I think it's 35. Anyway, and deep down, I know that this could all go south really, really fast. But right now I'm enjoying it. I'm really, really, really enjoying it. So
as you should. Following up a 3-0 into a 5-1, which we'll get more into, is just
and that's yes. Yeah, you know what? I'll save it. We'll get more into that in a second.
All right. I guess that means it's my turn. Building off of my Acuna and World Baseball Classic Blursed of the Week last week, my Blursed this week is all of our guys, Eddie and Ronald Acuna, are not injured from the World Baseball Classic, and their teams are eliminated. So unfortunately, Venezuela and Puerto Rico are eliminated, but our guys are back at spring training and uninjured, unharmed. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about some World Baseball Classic injuries and my take on that later on in this episode.
And Venezuela got eliminated by none other than USA themselves.
USA.
Indubitably.
Trey Turner's grand salami, I believe, is what did them in.
Yeah, he's been playing pretty scary baseball. Scary good.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pick Hayden's because Hayden's been talking about this whole time how he's waiting for Braves to get injured, and it never happened. But there were a lot of injuries going around.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of been a hot button debate online the past week. So we'll dig into that a little bit more. But I'll take a dub. I'll take it for sure.
Yeah, I'm also gonna pick Hayden.
Oh,
but we should go into Atlanta United first.
Yes,
United.
Indeed. Thank you, Hayden.
5 stripes.
Yeah. We got to figure something out there. But for now, that works. So, let's go straight into it. Blake, you touched on it just a second ago. Following up a 3-0 with a 5-1 victory. I mean, that was you can't ask for much better than scoring 8 goals in 2 games and only allowing 1 in those 2 games. Granted, was it against the best competition we could have faced? No. Portland is one of the best teams in MLS history. Charlotte is the newest team. No, they're not anymore. Sorry. There's a new team in
St. Louis?
Yeah, St. Louis.
And they're undefeated.
Yeah, so St. Louis is the only team that has been as good as Atlanta United thus far. Except for Atlanta United has more points.
St. Louis only beat Portland 2-1. We beat them 5-1. So
that we did. But no, St. Louis has taken a page out of the Atlanta playbook and jumped straight onto the scene this year out in the West. So we don't have to worry about them right now. But what I will say is kind of what we kind of touched on in the Blursed of the week. The 3-0 victory that we had over Charlotte. It was at Charlotte. I can't remember the last time I've seen an Atlanta United team play that well on the road. And Charlotte has a good atmosphere. Similar, they in not so much in the success department on the field, but off the field, they took a lot of things that Atlanta United did, which is that they play where the Panthers play, and they've opened up a large enough section of that stadium to where they get pretty damn good crowds. So there was a lot of people there.
They're averaging the second most behind Atlanta United, actually, at 50,000.
That's so surprising to me. Just
Yeah,
because,
they,
like, you don't think of soccer being big in the South,
Soccer's
especially
been very
just a
popular in the
football
South.
area.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they've proven that maybe the South just cares more about sports, which I've seen firsthand.
I think that's what it is.
Certainly.
Sports in general, we just care more about sports, all sports.
Anyway, Blake, exactly what you just said. I even was telling myself on Saturday, all right, this is the test. Portland is a better team than Charlotte, although Portland was missing a few guys out to injury, a couple starters. But, this is where you really see if you can follow up a dominating 3-0 performance with another win. And it started off in poor fashion. We haven't discussed this yet, but the game in like the second minute, Portland actually scored a goal to take a 1-0 lead. And I was pretty, you guys know how reactionary I am, especially when negative things happen early.
You're like, oh,
no. That's never happened.
Blake said Atlanta was going to win 5-0 today, and there goes.
There goes. All right. So that was me in the first couple minutes. But then rarely, if for those not watching at home, Blake and I are drawing the VAR box symbol, and they go to the VAR. Now, here's the crazy thing. I'm thinking, what are they reviewing? Because the shot was made from outside the box.
Yeah, you're
it was a solo run that a dude made one move. He cut to the center of the box and fired it, and it went right past Brad Guzan. And I will say, my initial thought, because it wasn't a screamer, it wasn't a frozen rope. The ball kind of floated over there, and I'm thinking, wow, I thought Brad could have saved that. Like, Brad has been having a good year so far. He should have saved that. Lo and behold, what they reviewed was that somebody in an offside position was standing in Brad Guzan's line of sight.
So couldn't get it.
Yeah,
wow.
And so it's a rule in soccer where you have full ability to block the keeper's line of sight when somebody else is taking a shot, and we'll cover that here in a second, the legal version of that. But you can't do it from an offside position. And this guy was well offside. He was like 5 or 6 yards behind.
You don't see that often, though.
Line. No, you don't. But and I don't even think he meant to do it. I think the dude was just caught offside and then just turned around and watched his teammate bang home a screamer. I think he was just watching it. But it really did. If you look from behind the
Brad can't see a thing.
Brad was late on his reaction because that dude's standing right the fuck in front of him. So, it actually was a legit call. Portland, as you might imagine, were pretty upset by that.
That's a good rule, though. And, that's one thing I love about soccer is so many common sense rules. Maybe it's because it's been around for so long. Right. But, they've worked out everything that they need to. But, just that makes sense. That should be a foul, or else there's going to be somebody that's always just standing right in front of the goalkeeper.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. So, you'd only just follow the goalkeeper.
Just a literal spy. Just stand in front of him. Yeah. So, man, Atlanta took over after that point. I don't know if it was what was going to happen anyway, or if it was a confidence boost from catching a what at the time may have seemed like a lucky break, even though it was the right call.
Right.
But that's certainly how I felt at the time.
I have a question for you.
Was lucky. Yeah.
Mike Conti's on the radio saying this might have been the most impressive performance of a single player in Atlanta United history in a one game. Do you agree with that?
I said
2 goals, 2 assists.
I would agree that yes, it might be.
Might be.
It certainly is.
Martinez did some great things, so it's hard.
Martinez did, Miguel Almiron did, but it's up there with those 2 names. Nobody else even close. Like I said, Atlanta just takes over, just attack after attack after attack, culminating with guess who?
MLS goal of the year, Thiago Almada.
Well, no, I'm culminating in their first goal from Caleb Wiley.
Caleb Wiley, right?
The 18-year-old phenom who scored a brace in last week's game. And for those of you who are soccer illiterate, a brace means 2. A brace, and then so beautiful assist from Thiago Almada on a fast break. That's something Atlanta does so well. Their counterattacks or fast breaks, if you will.
Caleb Wiley has been so impressive.
He spaces so well. It's a lot like in basketball. You have to have good spacing, and he's knows exactly where to be. He lets other players play off of him, and they can find him easy. He had Luis Araujo to his left to just lay it off to him, but no, he took the inside track, got the ball from Almada, boom, banged it home.
And you want your striker to have the confidence to shoot that. Like, you want him to do that.
Well, he's not the striker, but yeah, you would want that from your striker. Caleb Wiley, however,
is he the center attacking mid? Is that technically?
No, he's the left
wing
midfielder. Yeah,
oh.
He's a left wing.
Okay.
But in that scenario, Blake, yes, he was acting as the striker. He was the centermost attacking.
I know. I watched him score the goal.
You did.
I watched the game.
Oh, are you about to watch it again to make sure I'm not?
No. I know you're right.
I hear you typing over there. You're like,
Blake's off to a cold start. First basketball teams have 7 starters, and now
hey, I corrected it.
We're getting on you.
Anyway, so most of the first half goes by with Atlanta dominating, close chances, not going down. But then here it comes, folks. On the last few seconds, I don't know what it is about the time ticking off on the clock that gets Thiago Almada going.
Tick.
But man, we get a free kick from, I think I did the math in my head. I haven't seen anything. I believe it was 38 yards out.
Something like that, yeah.
Which is a considerable distance right before half.
Which is a considerable distance.
Yes, and man, he bangs one of the prettiest free kicks I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
No keeper in the world saves that. I had some people on Twitter arguing with me about that, saying that, oh, no, a good keeper would have got over there first. First off, shut the hell up. You don't have a player on your team that can do that, and so you're just upset about it.
Yeah, when's the last time you've seen a free kick like that go in?
Yeah,
Crazy.
I mean, oh my God. The high arc and then the curve it down so sharply and accurately to hit the inside corner of the post and in is insane. Now, here's something strategic that I want to give Gonzalo Pineda credit for, especially, like I said, with how hard I rode him last year.
You did.
Ew. So, Atlanta's doing this new thing, or at least it's new to me, that you don't see in European soccer very much. You're only kind of seeing it here in the MLS, or I'm only seeing it here in the MLS, and only a few teams are doing it. Atlanta United being one, and it's called the double wall. Okay, now what? And I honestly think that it's part of what led to this goal. Now, none of it happens without the beauty.
Yeah, his kick was amazing.
However, to the people on Twitter's credit, it did stay in the air for a decent amount of time, but the goalie, his vision was obscured by an additional wall that
it's like a soft wall, though, right?
Up. Yeah. So here's how they do it. So the wall, generally in soccer, you only put up a wall if you're defending a free kick, right? It's there for you to.
That shot's so good.
Are you watching it?
I'll watch it again. Yeah, so they put their own wall to duck out of the way of the ball, so they couldn't stand there.
Right. So the keeper, so
that's cool.
It's not so much for that. A keeper sets up his wall at his blind spot, the spot that he thinks he can't get to the best. He sets up the wall in that direction. He tells them where to move, and then they jump. They try to hit it, and they try to at least obscure the vision of the kick taker. Now, the keeper is going to position himself to the off part of the wall where he can see the ball most clearly. Okay. Now, what Atlanta United has been doing on every free kick is they actually set up their own little wall in that area that the keeper
is leaving once open.
Once open because he can see that area. Now, the Atlanta United players, of course, are not trying to block the kick. They're only trying to block his vision. And as we talked about a second ago, it's perfectly legal to block somebody's vision or the keeper's vision in soccer if you're onside. And we were obviously well onside.
That's super cool.
It's so innovative and fun, and I really enjoy it. And and of course, I'm saying that as someone whose team just scored a 38-yard free kick.
One of the prettiest free kicks I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yes. If you haven't seen it, folks, please go watch it. I don't care if you don't care any ounce or iota of emotion towards soccer.
Sam would really appreciate it too.
Sam, you would love the goal.
You really though. I mean, I don't know much about soccer, and you're able to appreciate that as a feat of art and athleticism.
Yes.
Because just the technique and strength to be able to do that is pretty incredible.
I mean, I feel like even if you're not a soccer fan, if you grew up our age, like you knew the Bennett like Beckham videos, that's what this is.
That's what they're talking about.
Yes.
Someone asked Tiago's doing better with English. He's not great at it yet, but They asked him after the game, one of the reporters, if he'd ever hit a free kick like that in his life, and he just went, "No."
No,
That's all he said. Just no.
no.
and he's right.
I heard some really cool reports after the game. Pineda was asked about Diego Almada going to play friendlies with Argentina, and he was saying he thinks it's really good for him that he wants him to go and get his keep his confidence up when he goes there. So when he comes back, he brings that back again because that's what you're seeing is a newfound confidence in him. Absolutely. That he's just better than all these other people.
He's the first player in MLS history, active player in MLS history, to win a World Cup, and he's feeling that. He's like, oh shit, I may be the best player in the league, and he's playing like
he is.
Yeah.
So and the crazy part too is like Luis really Araujo's up there too as like one of the best players in the league. So like,
so get this, he's overshadowing Luis Araujo, and it's something I said a few weeks ago, Blake, when you asked me about the fact that I said Luis was our most important player. I truly think that he is, because Almada's doing this. We need people to step up and be leaders and take the chances that are going to be given to them because of the focus that's going to be put on Thiago Almada. So. Absolutely. Luis Araujo did just that. He scored in this game. We'd be talking about him if it weren't for Caleb Wiley and Almada.
I know.
Luis Araujo has scored in back-to-back games now. Great goal. Great. He took a chested pass down, made a great turn, fired it towards the opposite corner. Beautiful. I want to talk about Almada's other goal. He scored the 5th goal of the night. And it was, Blake, I don't know if you saw that one, but it was also a thing of beauty, but in a different way. He took the ball. He had his back to his goal in the box, and he received the ball, just a normal pass. He fakes towards his right just ever so slightly, and then turns and shoots at the same time with the ball in one fluid motion. And there's nothing the keeper could do about it. He didn't even move. The keeper just stood there and watched it because he just completely fooled him. I'm telling you,
shook his ass.
Yes, the kid is on a heater, man.
Well, what's so cool about soccer is the players who get it and the players who are just on the next level. It's all the little things. It's the head fake. Like, it's not even because they're not doing. You can only do so much with your body with the ball. Like, you can only do so much for them to watch you. But it's all the subtle things where you're bringing that 1 second misdirection. Gives you the 1 second it takes to score the goal
because of how quickly.
It's
similar. It's honestly a lot like basketball, because in basketball, your shooting motion is done so quickly. All you need to do is give yourself a second or a half a second of space to get up a shot. It's just like that in soccer. You swing your leg very quickly as a human being. And so all you need is to do something to give you about a half second to a second of space away from you to where your defender's not right in front of you.
And the beautiful part about the game of soccer is it's that constant going, the flow of the game. So you're doing some of these moves you're doing off ball before the ball even gets to you to set up what you're going to do with the ball.
Exactly.
And that's the cool nuances of the game of soccer.
It's why they call it the beautiful game, man. And it truly is that. So a lot of players to talk about here. I'm gonna run through another one. So if we weren't talking about Almada and we weren't talking about Wiley and we weren't talking about Luis Araujo, we'd be talking about Yorgos Yamakis, okay? Our new signing, the Greek freak, the person who's wearing the number 7 jersey after nobody has worn it, not named Joseph Martinez until this season. And
it is pretty cool. He came in and took that number. He's like, nope, I'm gonna take
the balls on this Grecian. Damn.
And then he comes in his first game and he starts. He scores
his first start of his career in MLS. Bangs in a beautiful header and assisted by none other than Thiago Almada. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen that one either, please go watch it. That's the crazy thing about this game. All 5 goals were very, very pretty.
What's happy for me is like I feel like last year we really struggled scoring goals like that. I mean, obviously our defense went downhill, but we still we were in a lot of games that we probably shouldn't have been just because our talent was so good, but we couldn't finish. No one could finish last year.
That was the problem. Not just last year,
and the year before.
With Gabriel Heinze as head coach, that was the problem. Then we had a lot of. I remember saying to you, we played Philadelphia Union in the CONCACAF Champions League that year, and they beat us 3-0. And I'll be damned if I didn't come away from that game thinking that we outplayed Philadelphia.
And we just lost 3-0.
And we just lost 3-0.
That was the game where they just kept scoring off of like just.
Yeah, they scored off quick count. I think they had 3 shots that game for 3 goals. And Atlanta had something like 21 shots.
Which couldn't finish. Could never finish.
Them. Yeah, it was wild. Anyway, but that's what good teams do. They make you pay on chances like that.
And I think that's the important part to take away from the back-to-back wins. And like, even though we're not playing the best of competition yet, you're beating the teams you're supposed to, and you're beating them handily, which is something we haven't been doing the last couple of years.
That's exactly right.
So we're back, right?
Folks, Atlanta United is fully back. Best start in franchise history. That includes 2018. People forget the 2018 championship squad started that season by losing 4-0 to Houston.
I remember that. Yeah.
That team obviously figured it out. Talk about an unhappy Aaron. If you want to go back five years and watch that opening game, boy. Yeah, I was ready to get rid of Tata and Miguel and Joseph and everybody. But no, anyway, that is that was a magical year, and it's looking like this one is starting to become a magical season. I do have to eat a slight bit of crow towards John Fricky. When we played like crap in the first half of the first game this year, and then that's when we came back and Thiago Almada banged out 2 stunners in added time to give us the win, right?
Yeah.
Rightly so. I was very skeptical of this team back then, and I remember calling out John Fricky and the other folks on the morning show.
Who said we're back? Yeah,
who said they were like MLS Cup for Atlanta, and I was like, "Shut the fuck up! It's way too early to talk about it." Now, fast forward 3 weeks, and here I am. MLS
we're back.
Cup for Atlanta, baby. We're so back. All right, that's the difference in me and John Fricky. Okay, I take my time and I wait for the appropriate moment, which is now. So
which is now. Everyone start right now. Buy your tickets to the championship game.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Pencil off that weekend. It'll be sometime in January. All right. So
not financial advice, but you should definitely bet on them winning the championship.
Yes, exactly. The odds are probably decent right now. All right. But anyway, yeah, so that's Atlanta United. We play who do we play? I looked it up.
Wait, I have one more question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
So all I hear that we play Columbus, by the way, but all I hear is nothing about like the fact that we're back by the national media. It's all like Thiago Almada will be the next biggest transfer portal. That's all they're talking about is like how much he's going to be worth moving, not like the success of Atlanta United. Is pretty annoying to me.
Right.
Like we have a star for once. So like, can you talk about our team being good? Like,
I saw the same thing and I was like, wait, is he like not under contract for very long or something like that?
Well,
no, he is, but in soccer, those transfers.
The smaller leagues tend to always,
You can have 4 years left on your contract, and here comes Real Madrid offering you $100 million for this.
You're going to give him, yeah.
And you're going to be like, okay, yeah.
And he could pull around. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how much he pulled.
The world market is so fucked up because of teams like Chelsea and Real Madrid.
Oh, who spend $100 million on players that don't? Yeah, no, for sure.
Chelsea just bought a young phenom named Enzo Fernandez. I think Enzo Fernandez is going to be really good, but he hasn't done shit in his career. And I believe Chelsea paid like 130 million euros for him.
That just puts so much pressure on the kids.
A lot of people don't succeed because of that. And also, for anyone who may not be aware, when we talk about these insane sums of money in world soccer, that doesn't go to the player. The player sees none of that. If you see that so-and-so was purchased for this amount, that money...
The team's buying him out from another team.
Is buying out his contract from another team. They're buying out the worth of the contract, and then they're paying for the convenience or for the... what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, instead of like in American sports, we're accustomed to sending another player or draft picks for value for you giving us that player. In world soccer, they just give them more money.
You're just you're buying players from people. Basically,
you literally just buy players. You buy their contract and then you give them basically like a hush money or something. Like here you go. Just take this and go buy yourself another player. We want this one.
Yeah, so, you go get yourself something nice. This is our
that's it. Go get yourself something nice. I hear Argentina's producing some good ones.
Maybe that has something to do with why you see so many transfers too. But I mean, also soccer's a world sport, so there's more leagues,
more fluid market.
But also, it's so it's easier to find the value, like the monetary value of a player, than it is to try to match up.
Absolutely.
Players.
It is.
And have to worry about like salary cap restrictions and shit like that. And like, does this match up with this amount of money contract wise? Yeah, you're 100% right. It makes it a whole lot easier. So I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to touch on with the soccer boys, but I'm just really excited. Like Blake said, we're playing Columbus, primetime game, 7:30, Apple TV,
Ooh.
probably Bally Sports. I'm only watching it on Apple.
Columbus
TV.
is another team that's not that good, so we need to beat them.
Yeah,
you need to hand it to them.
that's another team that we really need to. Yeah, like Blake said, we've got to get 3 points here. I don't know if it's on the road or not, but either way, we're excited. Yeah, no, so it is on the road. We'll be back on the road. So another road test going up to Columbus. I will add this one little tidbit, little fact for you folks. They play in none other than Map-Free Stadium. And I drove past Map-Free Stadium a lot when I was going to visit Marion, Ohio. And it's right, you go right through Columbus. And the interstate goes, like, you can look down into the stadium. It's actually kind of cool.
From the interstate.
Yeah, from the interstate. If you're going one direction, on the other one, you can't, obviously. But anyway, it's
pretty cool.
Birthplace of American soccer, they call that stadium. And that is because it is the first ever soccer-specific stadium built in the United States of America. I couldn't tell you when that happened, but that is
interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll be up there playing in the first ever soccer stadium, and hoping to get 3 points.
Can't wait for you to ask us that during a trivia segment in like 3 weeks.
And not to remember it. Columbus Crew Stadium, Columbus.
Yes, Map-Free, Mapfre.
Free.
All right. Well, you guys want to chit chat about March Madness a little bit?
Let's
get into
it.
The dogs.
Oh, are we talking dogs too?
Yeah, well, we want.
How about them dogs?
It's time to reflect, you know?
Yeah, so we don't have to spend too much time on them, but there is that one thing that I wanted to bring up. That I saw a very cool stat, which was that Mike White winning 16 games in his first season at UGA is a 10-game improvement over last year, where we went 6-24, and or 6-22. Anyway, that is the best turnaround in all of the Power 5 conference, with the exception of one team. Do you guys know that other team? So Georgia was second best turnaround in the nation, behind who?
Is it another SEC school?
No, it's another Power 5 school though.
I'll go UCLA.
All right, Hayden, you got a guess?
I don't even have one. I don't know any colleges.
Kansas State. Darn.
Kansas State, folks. That's where the current. They're not really the Cinderella, but they are. They have a Cinderella story as an individual. Keontae Johnson. I don't know if you guys have followed his story, but former Florida basketball player who collapsed on the court a couple years ago. People didn't know if he was going to die. It was similar to like a DeMar Hamlin type thing, but except no contact. He just fell out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I don't know if, like I said, and he was one of Florida's best players, if not their best player. And so really ballsy move because of how good he was. The NCAA has an insurance policy taken out on most athletes as like a base, from what I understand now. And he could have gotten $5 million if he
just stopped playing.
If he stopped playing. But he elected to go back to the court for his last year of eligibility. There was some rule that said due to liability reasons he couldn't return to Florida, though. The article I read didn't expound on that, so I'm not exactly sure what the liability is there, other than maybe the fact that, like, if he dies,
maybe Florida at that point is like, we're not going to give you the insurance, right? Or,
yeah, it could have been like something like, this already happened once at Florida, so
the risk
if it happens a second time, you could maybe say that there's something they're doing or not doing to cause it. But anyway, so he transfers to Kansas State, first-year head coach. I forget the guy's name, but first-year head coach there. Kansas State was awful last year, and they were picked much like Georgia to finish dead last in their conference. But they went ahead and had such a good season, they went and became a number 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, and they're in the Sweet 16 right now.
That's a good conference too.
Keontae Johnson. Yeah, congrats to Keontae Johnson and the Wildcats over there.
Congrats.
Manhattan, by the way.
Also, congrats
in Kansas.
While we're talking about March Madness, congrats to all the SEC schools that have made it to the Sweet 16. We do have 3 of them, I believe. No, just 2 now. 3. No, Arkansas made it. So
yeah, it's Tennessee, Arkansas.
Tennessee, Arkansas, and Alabama. So
Kentucky's dumbass.
I didn't think Kentucky had a chance, but I did think we would maybe sneak one more in there. Like
Yeah.
Auburn, I thought could potentially upset Houston, but Houston looks like actual
Oh, Houston's good.
winners. Yeah, they look good.
Houston's like good.
Yeah.
But I think
My-
we should all be Tennessee. Something I don't think I've ever thought I would say, but this upcoming Sweet 16 game, we should all be Tennessee fans because they're playing Florida Atlantic.
Yep.
That's the team that knocked out Fairleigh Dickinson, everybody's sweet 16 seed.
How dare them?
That upset Purdue. But it's not just a how dare them because they beat them. I can't blame them for beating them. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
However, what I can blame them for is this. At the end of the game, they were up 8, and Fairleigh Dickinson missed a shot. Some player for Florida Atlantic gets the ball off the long rebound. The players are already, it's that like couple seconds
over. Yeah.
where you just dribble it out normally.
Yeah.
He goes down to the other end and tries a 360 windmill dunk and misses.
Can't do that.
Rim stuffed.
Oh, you hate to hear that.
What? If we could just take a second, what good did he think would come of that? If you make that dunk, nobody celebrates. You just beat everybody's favorite team all of a sudden, and you do that to showboat at the end. You're going to get booed. And then if you miss, you look like an absolute jackwagon, and you still get booed. And that's what happened. Luckily, they booed him off the court. So.
He is a jackwagon. And I'll say this too: if Tennessee shoots like they did against Duke, they're going to beat anybody with that 3-point percentage. So, I've enjoyed March Madness this year. I think you've seen the transfer portal has really brought parity to college basketball in a way that you never saw before. Like the Blue Bloods aren't what they used to be because there is so much parity now.
So to that point, Fairleigh Dickinson. They didn't get a bunch of like big name transfers. However, that coach, I forget his name.
I'll look it up.
But he is a first year head coach and he came from a Division II school. I don't remember what school, but I think it was something like 3, maybe even 4 of the starters on Fairleigh Dickinson also played for him at that D2 school. And so he basically just transferred all those guys over. Guys that have been playing with, not only with each other.
Tobin Anderson.
What?
Tobin Anderson.
Tobin. That's right. Tobin. I knew he had a weird name. So anyway, Tobin, does it say where he came from, Blake, or no? It doesn't matter.
I figured it out.
It doesn't really matter. Anyway, he comes from a D2 school. He brought
St. Thomas.
There it is. All right. So he brings all those guys over. And like I said, not only had they been playing for him for a couple years, but with each other as well. And so that's just to Blake's point. That's a small example of the transfer portal working really well. And then
you saw Princeton win a couple games. You saw, you've seen Kansas State even almost beat Xavier in the first round. So shout out Kansas State Owls, Night Owls. What are they? Night Owls.
Kennesaw State.
Oh, Kennesaw, not Kansas.
I was about to say, did I get something really wrong here?
Somebody get that boy a Celsius stat.
No, it was.
I do need one. It was a long Monday. Kennesaw State. Yeah.
Get in there. A little free advertisement. Here you go. Take
it is.
That's
going to be our first sponsor
right?
for sure.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, really enjoying March Madness.
It's because I don't have the glasses on today. I don't know how to think. I read all my lines in the glasses. So
that's what it is. It's like what's his face?
My script's just moving the whole time.
Yeah, Iron Man. It's like you got Pepper in there. Anyway. But yeah, so that's March Madness.
And the dogs.
All right. Well then,
where are we going next?
Let's
go Los Bravos.
Yeah, switch the order. So I'm glad you said that. Let's see if I can find the drop. Here it is.
Braves.
There we go. All right. There's actually been a fair bit going on this past week in spring training and the World Baseball Classic. So first, we're going to talk about the shortstop battle, and things have changed extremely quickly.
Happening right now.
And it's not really anybody we've brought up. We haven't brought up this name since last year when Ozzie Albies got hurt. Braden Shoemake is apparently the front runner to be the starting shortstop for the Braves this year.
Crazy.
And this all just started halfway through last week. Vaughn Grissom, for some reason, he didn't play shortstop for like 6 straight games, which was kind of unusual because you thought you would want him to get as many reps as possible. But Braden Shoemake, he probably would have been the guy that got called up from AAA to play second base last year instead of Vaughn, but he got hurt the day prior. unfortunately. So if you don't know about him, he was a first-round pick back in 2019 for the Braves. He's 25 years old, and he went to college at Texas A&M. And he struggled with the bat a lot the last as a professional, but he is a stronger defensive option. And so a lot of thought going into it is we have a very strong lineup, especially if Eddie Rosario plays well, like we know he can. That means our 1 through 8 in the lineup is rock solid. And then it's okay to lean towards defensive at a shortstop position where that's so important. So maybe that's why we're starting to move in that direction and really buy into the defense a little bit more.
Well, Hayden, to change directions, there was breaking news that I posted in Discord. Braves will go with Orlando Arcia as their opening day shortstop, and we'll option both. Yeah, we'll option both Braden Shoemake and Vaughn Grissom to AAA.
No way.
Yeah, and then
Real time, folks.
Andre Andrianza is the utility infielder. Grissom will play
Andrianza.
Yeah, and then Grissom will play more shortstop reps at Gwinnett since Shoemake's already played more innings. They'll both get shortstop and second base reps.
Oh my god!
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, wow. So the thought is, I really wish I had talked about shortstop like third down the list now.
Sorry.
No.
I was trying to stop you right when you first
it.
started, but it was breaking news.
I try not to look at it while I'm going here on the podcast. But so I guess the thought behind it is that they both need a little bit more experience. Vaughn has hit extremely well in spring training. He's hitting like over 300, so it's a little surprising. But Arcia, you know what you're gonna get. He's a MLB caliber player. He's been in the league for a number of years. He played a lot last year due to the injuries, and he's solid defensively. And he's a solid option.
If I may, does this not just reek of Brian Snitker and how he's always been, especially since he's been our big league manager? In that, the dude just goes with the safe option. He goes with what he knows.
He doesn't control the roster, actually. AA does.
Okay, Blake, I understand.
It's tandem.
Do you think AA is going to just not consult Brian Snitker?
Right, I see what you're saying. But I feel like if he thought, no, Grissom's going to play.
I know, but I think one of the things that makes AA the best general manager in all of sports is that he knows when to cede the decision making to baseball people, and he knows when to take over decision making when it comes to maybe options up and down the clubhouse, yes, but also like trades, acquisitions,
I got you.
Things like that. Hey, what makes him so good is knowing what he's good at and knowing what he's not good at, in my opinion. And I think he knows that Brian Snitker knows the game of baseball better than him. Granted, I could be saying all that, and tomorrow we could come out and see Brian Snitker be like, "What the fuck? I thought that I was going to start Vaughn Grissom." But
I really thought the kid had it in him.
Yeah, I highly doubt that though. So
it's interesting because we went from having really low middle infield depth in the organization to now it's like any of these three guys could have been a starting shortstop for us this year. Yeah. So I'm sure I'd be surprised if we didn't see all of them up at some point, or both Vaughn Grissom and Braden Shoemake, just because of different injuries that may happen. I wouldn't be surprised if Vaughn gets some reps in the outfield in the minor leagues this year as well. Because if that defensive tool doesn't come around, he hits so well, you got to find a spot in the field for him. So he might be getting some left field reps down there.
It's interesting hearing them say they're going to also work at second base. I guess it's like just make sure that infield depth is there because, I mean, it was pretty bad last year when we lost.
So
Albies.
Andrianza, so he'll be our utility player, but if there's an actual injury to Arcia or Albies, we're not going to start here. It's going to be Grissom or Shoemake that gets called up to play that role. But yeah, so that's a pretty interesting development. And I'll skip down a little bit further to what I was going to talk about later. It may be in part because of the left field position battle. So that's another one of the holes that we've had. While Eddie has played extremely well for Puerto Rico, he had a couple home runs in the World Baseball Classic, and he had a double. I think now that he's back in spring training today, he's hitting really well, and he's looking like we're going to platoon in that position. So Eddie's a left-handed batter, and will probably give a lot of the other starts to a righty when a left-handed pitcher is pitching. So it's kind of split into 4. Hopefully we don't have to play Marcell Ozuna out there. It's kind of looking like, where are we going to play him? He's going to DH.
I thought there was a chance we cut him, right?
It could happen, but I don't know. There's so much money sunk in him, and at this point, it seems like it would have happened already.
Gotcha.
But I will touch on that here in a second. The rest of the players that may be in left field, Kevin Pillar, who is 34 years old, a little bit more experienced. He's a righty. Kevin Pillar is only hitting 188 in spring training, which is a little bit low. It's a small sample size in spring training, so not the biggest issue in the world. He's experienced. He's a veteran, so that might be something that Snicker wants to have in the clubhouse. The other guys, Eli White, who's 28 years old. He has a little bit of tenure with the Rangers. He's hitting 429 in spring training. Yeah, he's hitting extremely well. He has 3 home runs in spring training, and he's a righty, so that works to his advantage. The third guy is Sam Hilliard, who's 29 years old, lefty. He's spent most of his time in Colorado. He's hitting 353 in spring training. And then Jordan Luplow, 28 years old. He's also righty. He missed like half of spring training, so he's probably going to get some more reps here in the next week to see if he should make it. But I think really the reason that Vaughn and Braden Shoemake got sent down is because I think they want to carry 3 of these guys of the alternative players. So we're going to have a heavy outfield. Yeah, and have more depth since a lot of these guys are playing well, unexpectedly maybe.
I think something else too that the Braves find important this year is to win early and not fall behind early, like how it's been. And a great way to do that is to make sure your defense is just stable. Like, you know what I mean? Like RC, like you said, he's played shortstop before. He is a Major League Baseball player. Like, he would bat for other teams too. Like, it's not like he's
he's a starter on other teams, and like the Braves are one of the best teams, probably top 3 teams in baseball. So it's hard to break into that lineup. Yeah. So, it's nothing against the younger guys, but that might be how it plays out. Another option that I was going to touch on a little bit is if we're trying to get out from under the Marcell Ozuna contract, if we don't think he's going to perform anymore and we want to try to trade him, we have a couple options. So of Braden Shoemake and Vaughn Grissom, you could trade one of those guys.
You're going
to have to give up.
Pair them up.
Yeah, you're going to have to get rid of somebody good that's Major League ready to get out from under a bad contract like that. It's the same thing we had to do when we had B.J. Upton. We had to send Craig Kimbrell as well to be able to get out from under it. And so that's kind of the same deal here.
But is it worth it at that point? Like, just like if you think about team-wise, it made sense at that time trying to get rid of B.J. Upton because we were rebuilding. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was some retooling we were doing, whereas now,
I mean,
we're World Series contenders. So
right now there's probably not any reason to do it.
But if shortstop's not living up to it,
if anything, we would probably need to trade for a shortstop if that's what we want to do. But that's an expensive position as well. So we'll see what happens and what plays out. But also we have a lot of depth at the starting pitching position. And so before that breaking news that happened during the podcast, the big news from last week is that both Ian Anderson and Bryce Elder were optioned, so sent down to AAA, which those were the 2 that were expected to fill that fifth starter role. And so that left Jared Schuster and Dylan Dodd, 2 24-year-olds, battling it out for that last spot. And they have both pitched extremely well this spring. They both have ERAs in the 1s, and they're kind of just battling back and forth. They're both lefties, which is really good because it brings more balance to the rotation, so that way you're not too heavy on either side of the plate. So I really like that, and I think I touched on it last week when we talked about spring training. I really like that it's a true spring training competition and that we're going with the hot hand this year and not who it should be or who has the most experience, at least at this position.
Right.
We want to have the player that's playing the best because last year the fifth starter spot was so streaky for us and mostly resulting in losses because of poor play. So hopefully we get a player that's playing well and can step right in and start winning games while, some of these guys like Bryce Elder and Ian Anderson are figuring stuff out. We got Soroka that he's making his first start on Wednesday of spring training because he's been battling back from that hamstring injury. And
I'll say sorry.
No, I was just going to say, and Kyle Wright, who's also coming back from some shoulder Payne. He made a start today. Wasn't best work, but he gave up like 4 runs. It's good to see him back on the mound. He'll get a couple more starts before spring training's over.
And Strider and Fried have already looked really good.
Oh, they looked incredible.
And I saw the stat too. Like our whole Braves staff has just looked incredible this whole spring training. Which I mean, is spring training, and I think it always goes to the pitchers start of the year. But through 58 pitches or 58 innings, we have 74 strikeouts, 1.53 ERA, and 11.3 K for 9.
Yep. So hopefully you see that persist as we move into the regular season. We get off to a hot start, because the last couple of years we've got off to slow starts and we've had to battle our way back, and we don't want to have to do that this year. Hopefully get off to a quick start, get a lead in the division that's extremely competitive, one of the best in baseball.
Here we go. Here's the Atlanta Braves announced who all got optioned. Right-handed pitcher Nick Anderson, infielder Vaughn Grissom, infielder Braden Shoemake, outfielder Jordan Luplow, and outfielder Eli White.
Eli, no, sorry, man. He had such a good spring training. So Sam Hilliard, it seems like will make the team with Kevin Pillar. So
that's just depth, veteran depth.
Yeah, it is. Those guys have been around. It sucks a little bit for Eli White just because he's had such a good spring training. Hopefully he sticks around with the AAA team, and we might see him up at some point this year. He's a good utility player. Let's see. Last note on the Brave spring training, Matt Olson is going absolutely nuts. He has 6 home runs in like 30 at-bats in spring training this year. So if anybody's thinking about gambling on an MVP candidate, Matt Olson's a good one to bet on. He has pretty low odds to win, but it's his second year here in Atlanta. He's comfortable in the division now. He's settled in.
He's raking.
The shift is going to benefit him. He's going to be getting more base hits, and I expect his power numbers to go up. If you remember, he set Braves record last year for the amount of doubles that he had. So I think some of those doubles will turn into home runs this year. He's really hitting the ball well and seeing it well. So hopefully that continues as well.
We have a fantasy baseball draft in person on Sunday, and it's auction based for the first like certain amount of picks, and then we do the rest snake order. And the question today was, how much is Matt Olson going to be? Like, because how much money are people going to spend on him, especially being like a Brave centric group? People are going to spend out of the butt for him because everyone's kind of buying in on this.
It's a Georgia league, and Matt Olson's so handsome, so good.
So good.
Hopefully we see more handsome productivity. And then finally, I want to touch on the World Baseball Classic. It has gotten a lot of traction and a lot of, a lot of views and stuff like that this year through the process. So maybe I was underselling it a little bit. It's a little bit more popular than I thought when we talked about it a couple weeks ago. But there have been a number of injuries now from big name players. So Edwin Diaz, the closer for the Mets, he's out for 8 weeks. He like tore something in his knee, something gross. But
it wasn't the patella tendon or something like
patellar.
That.
So it like goes between your knee.
Only 8 weeks? That's surprising.
No, like 8 months. He'll be
8
out.
Months.
Yes, he'll be out the whole season. Jose Altuve, who got hit in the hand, he'll be out 8 weeks. He's one of the best players in baseball. Then Freddie Freeman, he tweaked his hamstring, so he stopped playing. And then Nolan Arenado, he also got hit in the hand. And so there's a lot of discourse online about like players should be playing in the World Baseball Classic instead of spring training. One side is saying that it doesn't matter because spring training is exactly the same as playing in the World Baseball Classic. The other side is saying,
no, you're trying to win in the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, I guess like the players enjoy playing in the World Baseball Classic, and that's fun.
Yeah.
I think where I land on it is a lot of these pitchers are not ramped up for the season yet. So unless they're getting acclimated to the season and like lengthening out, stretching out their arms, they're not really ready for the atmosphere, and I don't know. They're not as accurate as they are in the normal season. You're seeing more guys get hit.
Is that what's happening? I was wondering because like you shouldn't see, if you compare it to Major League Baseball, you're not seeing this many injuries this quickly. Like you don't see that many stars get hurt that quick.
That's my thought as well. And so like you just hate to see these teams losing players that are so important to them. But like, it's really the baseball hardos that really care about the World Baseball Classic.
But also maybe too, you're seeing stuff like Freddie where like maybe he could actually keep playing if he was wearing his Dodgers blue, like because it's just a hammy, like maybe just kind of a little. And he's like, I'm not going to risk it. Like it's just not worth risking at that point.
That's
like your
valid
hand gets
too.
hit, that's not worth risking me.
At the end of the day, like you got to take care of your money, and that's what I assume some of these guys do. That's why you see the USA pitching staff isn't as good as you would think, because like guys like Jacob deGrom, he's not doing it. He's not going to go out and throw and risk injury when he's been so injury laden anyways. Right. And then there's guys like Max Fried that are still in their arbitration years. If he gets injured in the World Baseball Classic and he hasn't gotten his big contract yet, that's going to screw him out of so much money. So that's why you don't see these younger guys doing it either. Because, like, I mean, let's be realistic. Max Fried should be playing for, like, Team Israel or Team USA just because he's one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Absolutely.
And Spencer Strider, I would expect that as well. But
I feel like the young guys don't get the torch as much in the World Baseball Classic, though.
Yeah.
Because, like, otherwise Strider probably would be pitching.
Yeah, I mean, he's new on the scene, so maybe they want a little bit more experience. But either way, there's been a lot of injuries, and it's been kind of a hot button issue. I would prefer them to move the World Baseball Classic to maybe not be in spring training, maybe at the tail end of the season. I don't know. It's kind of tricky, but or maybe after the World Series.
Is this every year?
No, it's every 4 years. It's supposed to be like
it's like the FIFA World Cup.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. Yeah. But on a much smaller scale.
Makes sense.
All right.
So real quick though, are you mad? Should we be mad as fans the RCA gets the start, or you think this is comfortable?
I think it's not exciting. Everybody likes seeing a rookie get up there and try to perform and battling out, especially since both of them have played super well in spring training. It's a little surprising. I don't expect it to last long, especially since both of those guys are going to be in AAA.
They can't both play. Yeah.
I would imagine in like the first 2 months of the season, we'll see one of those two guys up and they'll be the starting shortstop. So I think this is a short-term thing as we figure out what's going to happen at that position. But
good.
It'll do for now. The rest of the team is so solid, it doesn't really matter what we do at that position. We just need some good defense, and Arcia can provide that.
Let's ride. You want to finish this off on the Falcons? I meant it earlier when I said that was my Hawks talk during the Blurs. Here's the thing about the Hawks. Like, I'm such a big Hawks fan that when losses like last night happen, I get so upset. I just don't want to. It's hard to talk about sometimes. So, and plus, there's not much more to glean than what we talked about last week when it comes to the Hawks. So we're still trying to find our way. Trae Young. I will say this about the Hawks. Trae had a bad game and we lost. And like, we got to find ways to win when Trae has a bad game. It was his first bad game he's had in a while. And so you got to find ways to win when your best player is not playing well.
Sure.
That's why we're all DJM.
All right. Let's talk about the Falcons then.
Yeah, man.
Falcons.
So this week, since Aaron had to leave a little early, we won't get into our draft discussion or anything like that. I just want to recap on all the free agents we did sign. So all the salaries have been announced. We also have gotten so all the dollar figures, how many years it is. We got the restructuring of Jonnu Smith. So he went down from a $12 million hit to a $6.5 million hit, which is like way more affordable for Jonnu. So Jesse Bates. Jonnu, sorry, yeah, I keep doing that. Jonnu. So Jesse Bates signed a 4-year, $64 million. David Onyemata signed a 3-year, $35 million. Caleb McGarry, 3-year, $34 million, which I still think that was like a steal for Caleb McGarry. And I'm not saying he's worth all of that because I think that's probably his value worth, but just the market was so much higher. Caden Ellis, 3-year, $21 million. I think that can be a high upside signing. I think he has really good potential on our D line. Mac Hollins. So this was the newest one. We signed Mac Hollins to a 1-year, $2.5 million contract. I think it's great.
That's a good deal.
Like, that's a value deal. He was the wide receiver 2 basically in the Raiders offense after
Devontae Adams.
No, but who was the guy who went down though? Renfro. When he got hurt, he took over and he had a great season, almost 700 yards. He had 4 touchdowns. He's big, physical, good blocking receiver. I'm excited to have him. I don't think we're done in the receiving game either. Like, I think we go probably another speed guy, whether it's the draft or signing like a Hardman.
Hollins is a deep threat, though. That's kind of what he's known for, right?
But he's more of your possession deep threat. Like, he's like he is.
Like, he can go up over the top. And
he runs a 4.5. He runs. So he's
not gonna burn. He's not gonna burn a a defender deep, really, but he could go up over the top and catch it over.
Yes, and he has more speed than Drake London for sure. And I think, he adds to that mold of Art. Art loves the tall, big guy, like because Kyle Pitts is really big. Drake London's huge. Johnny Smith's a big guy. Like we have a bunch of big receivers, big targets for him to target. So
yeah,
I think it's good for Ritter. And I could see, like I said, I think we're gonna get another wide receiver coming in.
Yeah, I agree, because especially after seeing that acquisition, my thought is that we're gonna take a wide receiver in the draft, maybe like a third rounder, something like that, to be a slot guy.
Yeah, we also lost Isaiah Oliver to San Francisco, so he signed somewhere else. We haven't re-signed Rashaan Evans yet, which we're still going to need a linebacker to come in to kind of help fill that depth while we're figuring out who the starters are. And to your point, we can get into this conversation a little bit because we also, real quick, finish up. We re-signed Cornell Armstrong too. He played cornerback and some special teams for us. Is pretty good defender for us. As we're looking at the holes that we still have left, you can notice we still have offensive line. We center a guard, but we could pick someone up there. We still have the hole of cornerback. We have some holes of wide receiver, middle linebacker, and we need another running back to add to the running back room. And so I will ask you this: just where are you leaning right now with the first pick of the draft? And have you thought about just position? I don't want player, but position. And if you thought about other positions that you might not have wanted, but is there a way you trade back and be more comfortable with those? So what receiver or running back, for example, if you had to go first round?
Well, I'm not gonna say Bajan because I don't believe in it. But I don't.
It doesn't have to be a player, just like a position.
Yeah, I always lean towards the offensive side of the ball just because I enjoy it more. But it really just doesn't make sense in this draft based on what we have. So I think I'll lean with cornerback, has kind of come through as what I think we're going to need to pick up, especially since we weren't able to acquire what's his name, Gardner Johnson.
Yeah, which he had a weird free agency. Apparently, the Eagles offered him 3 years, $24 million, which is $7 million a year, but it wasn't actually $7 million a year with the different breaks. So the Lions gave him a 1 year, $8 million contract, a prove it deal, which is pretty surprising to me. So maybe he was just a benefit like Eli Apple was of a better secondary. We'll find out this coming year, but
yeah, that'll be interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I lean towards the corner. We've built up a little bit of depth on the defensive line, and in tandem with Ryan Nielsen coaching up the guys that we have already, I think that'll be an improvement just because that's his specialty. And I think where we are at 8 right now, it's kind of like the prime area for the first overall cornerback. We can get the best guy coming out or who we think it could be. So that's where I'm landing right now. What's your thoughts?
I'm with you. I will not. So I'll say this is my answer. I will not be disappointed if we go defensive line. Either Jalen Carter, Tyrese. I think it's Tyrese Wilson's the guy at Texas Tech, or even the best cornerback available. I think it's from Oregon. I can't think of his name right now. I won't be upset with it.
Witherspoon or something.
I think the Oregon guy's the one I'm thinking about, but I think they're both top targets.
Yeah.
But I'm also starting to, like you said, wide receiver seems like another hole we have. And you look around the league and you're seeing Miami Dolphins with Waddle, Tyreek Hill. You look at Cincinnati with the Chase and Higgins, and the tandems you see are always getting me. And we do have Kyle Pitts, so the London Kyle Pitts tandem, that's a legit thing. And so maybe Terry,
it's more of a size tandem. You want to be on the speed side of things.
Exactly. And I could almost see us trading back in the first round and taking a wide receiver again. I could almost see that. And I'm going to say this right now. I will not be mad if the Falcons trade back and get a running back or a wide receiver in the first round. I won't be mad. I won't be as happy as I could be, but I won't be mad. I would be really upset if we took him at 8. If we take another receiver at 8 or running back at 8, that would make me more upset.
I would be upset either way, if we draft a running back, but if we traded back and got a receiver that we can fit into the slot and deep roll with agility and top speed, then I'd be okay with it or feel better about it. I just think there's so much depth in the running back draft class that we can take later.
I think so too.
I just don't
the guy
think we need it.
I'm narrowing in on is Tyjae Spears from Tulane. Dude, that guy he's a beast, man. He's fast as hell. I mean, he put up like 200 yards against USC and 4 touchdowns. And
wow. What's his
Yeah.
projected?
I actually
draft
don't
position
know.
right now?
Let's see. Let's see. Tony Spears draft projection. So he's projected to go. He's the 4th ranked running back, by 121st overall. So I don't know where that puts him on this website.
Okay.
I don't know why it's so hard to see where people are mocking people.
Yeah, maybe a little early, but
But
sounds
he's
like a talented guy.
Yeah, no, he's a speed back who I would love to get him. I would absolutely love to get him. So he's been mocked to round 2, round 3, round 4, round 3, round 4, between as high as 2 and as low as 7 on some.
Yeah, I mean, hey, running back depth is important, for sure. You see some of the best teams, especially like those Patriots teams that won so many Super Bowls, they were able to have so much depth. And like guys like James White popping up out of nowhere.
Oh,
like,
Garrett Blunt had amazing gear. Like they always had a bowling ball and a speed guy, and that's kind of what I think you're going to do with Tyler Algier, Cordell Patterson, and whoever else we bring in. Like I'm still not opposed to Kenny McIntosh, but I don't know. That's kind of where we're going for the Falcons as we keep getting closer to the draft, because the draft is a little over a month away, a month and a week. It's April 27th. So as we get closer to that, we'll start to do more and more draft outlook. We'll talk about who we would ideally want, and then we'll talk about different things that could happen and how it could all pan out. Because the free agency's not done yet either. So
yeah, it's still early.
It's still clearing up the picture. Something exciting though is I've read that the Falcons could have up to $100 million in cap next offseason. It's like, holy crap! Like
that's a lot.
I guess
of money.
there's so much dead money, so much old money are going off the books that you can. If you don't fill the hole this year, you can fill it next year. And so I think the Falcons make their step this year to the playoffs, but next year would be where you're like, all right, we got to go Super Bowl, or maybe
that makes me think that dang it, who's the receiver you just said that we got?
Oh, Mac.
Yeah. That his 1-year contract is kind of significant. We got him super cheap, but like if there's receivers that are free agents next year, we're definitely going to be able to afford the best one.
Oh, and there's a lot like Justin Jefferson. Not that he wouldn't get re-signed, but there's a lot of big name wide receivers on the market next year. That's gonna, someone's going to get moved for a pick or something, because that happens every year in the NFL.
Yes, especially wide receivers are extremely, I guess I would say divas, maybe sometimes. So some of them can come out of those contracts like a little bit earlier than expected, or maybe they'll be holding out, that kind of shit. But yeah, so Falcons are in a good position. Hopefully they make the turnaround this year. But we're coming up on the draft here in about a month now, so it's coming right up on us. And then Major League Baseball season starts in 8 days.
Oh, dude, we're getting close on everything right now. It's an exciting time to get back into sports. That's what I love about the NFL is that the free agency and the draft gets me just right to where baseball starts, and then I can watch baseball through the summer, and basketball gets you in the playoffs through the summer, right for football start again. So I think
baseball is going to be more fun to watch this year. So guys, tune in a little bit, because the pitch clock is reducing the game time down by like 30 to 45 minutes, which is pretty wild. But that's the kind of effect that it's having, and you'll be able to take in the whole game, in two and a half
much quicker.
hours, which is significant, and you can get back to your night or do something else with your time instead of just having that on. So, I'm
pretty disappointed that we can't make the name of this episode "Shoe Make Me Lose My Mind," because I was pretty proud of that, but
that's not how those algorithms work, Blake, unfortunately.
But Shoemake is, I know, but you know how I am with the puns and the names.
You're extremely punny, Blake. That's for sure.
It's my best talent, actually.
Anything else you got for the folks at home before we dip out of here?
Be good people this week. Be kind to your neighbor. That's about it. Be a good person.
That's
what I'm going to tell you this week. Yeah.
All right. That's all we got this week, everybody. Be safe. Take care. Later.
Take care. Rest easy. Stay classy.
Before you go, if you enjoyed our episode, please
please subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, and share with your friends. If you'd like to see these mugs, all of our video podcasts are now available on YouTube, where you can like, comment, and subscribe. For more content, follow at Blursed Sports on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. You can also follow us individually at Blursed Blake, at Blursed Hayden, and at @A_Kais. If you're interested in chatting with us directly, join our new Discord community by typing discord.io/BlursedSports into your browser. As always, a huge shout out to our music man, Oh No, for keeping the vibe right and laying down straight slappers every week. You can find his information in the show notes. Thanks again so much for listening, and see you next week.